When love crossed every line, the black woman and the Korean Mafia boss. They told her she was too old for him. They told her she didn't belong in his world. They told her loving him would destroy her. And they told him that loving her would make him weak. But what happens when love doesn't ask for permission? What happens when two broken souls from opposite sides of the world collide? This is not just a love story. This is a story of danger, sacrifice, identity, and a love that crossed every line ever drawn. Amara Johnson had learned one truth about life. It never goes the way you plan. At 42 years old, she had already lived 3 different lives: the hopeful young woman, the broken wife, and now the survivor. She grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, in a neighborhood where dreams were big, but chances were small. Her mother worked 2 jobs. Her father disappeared before she could remember his face. Love to Amara was always temporary. She married young, believed in forever, and watched it crumble. Her husband cheated, drained her savings, and left her emotionally empty. By the time she divorced him, she felt older than her age. She didn't hate love, she just didn't trust it. Then something unexpected happened. She won a global cultural arts fellowship, one that took her to Seoul, South Korea, a place she had never imagined living. Different language, different culture, different rules. And that was exactly what she wanted. A place where nobody knew her past, a place where she could breathe again. She opened a small cafe and art space in a quiet district, a place where music played softly, paintings covered the walls, and strangers sometimes became friends. She named it Second Sunrise because she believed in new beginnings. She just didn't know her new beginning would come in the form of danger. Min-Jae Kang didn't believe in new beginnings. He believed in control. At 26 years old, he ruled one of South Korea's most feared underground syndicates, not by choice, by blood. His father had built the empire from nothing: smuggling, arms deals, black market networks, political bribes. By the time Min-Jae was 10, he had seen men beaten in front of him. By 13, he was taught how to shoot. By 17, he had watched his first man die. And at 23, his father was assassinated, shot 5 times in the chest. Min-Jae didn't cry. He stood over the body and memorized the faces of everyone in the room. That was the day he stopped being a son and became a king. He learned every weakness in his system, every traitor, every lie, and he eliminated them, coldly, efficiently. Love was not part of his world. Love was how people got killed. It was raining that night, hard. The kind of rain that makes the city feel like it's trying to wash itself clean. Amara was about to close her cafe when she heard a crash outside. Then a voice, low, strained, painful. She opened the door and saw him. A young man in a black coat, blood soaking through his side, barely standing. He collapsed right at her doorway. Amara froze. She had never seen someone this badly hurt before. Her brain screamed at her to call the police, but her heart told her to help. She pulled him inside, locked the door, and dragged him to the back. Min-Jae was half-conscious, his vision blurred. The last thing he expected to see was warm light and a woman's gentle voice. "Stay awake, please. Don't close your eyes." She cleaned his wound, pressed cloth against it, and whispered calmly, like she had done this 1,000 times. But she hadn't. When he finally passed out, she stayed, all night. Min-Jae woke up confused, disoriented, alive. That didn't happen often. He expected chains, interrogation, fear. Instead, he smelled coffee and heard soft jazz. Amara sat across the room, sketching. When he moved, she noticed. "You're awake," she said. Not afraid, not curious, just gentle. He watched her. No one ever looked at him like that. She asked his name. He lied. She gave him food. He didn't touch it at first. Then he did. And something strange happened. He felt safe. Min-Jae didn't leave the cafe that morning, not because he couldn't, but because he didn't want to. Amara made him soup. He sat quietly, watching her move around the cafe, wiping tables, adjusting paintings, humming to herself. She didn't ask questions. She didn't pry. And that unsettled him. Most people wanted something from him: information, money, protection, fear. But she wanted nothing. And somehow that made him want to give her everything. He returned the next day, and the next, sometimes just to sit, sometimes to talk, sometimes to listen. She told him about her life in America, the dreams that didn't come true, the love that broke her, the courage it took to move to a new country at her age. "I didn't come here to fall in love," she said, laughing softly. "I came here to heal." He didn't know why, but that sentence stayed with him. One night, the rain returned, and with it, their walls fell. They sat in the cafe after closing, just the two of them. She was painting, he was watching. "Why do you look so sad?" she asked. "I'm not," he replied. She smiled gently. That wasn't a question. That was an observation. He had never been read so easily, and for the first time in years, he spoke. About his loneliness, about the weight of expectations, about never being allowed to be weak. Amara listened, not as a fan, not as a follower, but as a woman who knew pain. "You're not broken," she said. "You're just tired." That was it. That was the moment. Something shifted. He reached for her hand. She didn't pull away. A few days later, he told her his real age, 26. She froze. Her smile faded. Her heart sank. She was 42, 16 years older. This can't happen," she said quietly. "You deserve someone young, someone at your stage of life." He didn't understand. "I don't want someone else." She stood up, pacing. "This isn't fair to you or to me." But he stood too and said something that shook her. "You make me feel human." No one had ever said that to her before. One night, she followed him, not out of suspicion, out of worry. And what she saw changed everything. Men bowing, cars arriving, weapons, fear, power. She confronted him. "You lied to me." He didn't deny it. "I didn't want you to see me like this." "What are you?" she whispered. He looked at her, and for the first time, he was honest. "I am dangerous." Silence. She expected herself to run. Her legs wouldn't move. Instead, she asked, "Do you want to be?" That question broke him. Their love didn't begin with kisses. It began with understanding. Long talks, late nights, healing conversations. They were from different worlds, different ages, different cultures, but the same loneliness. When he kissed her for the first time, it wasn't passion, it was relief. She cried, not because she was afraid, but because she hadn't felt this scene in years. Love had made him careless, and in his world, carelessness was deadly. His enemies noticed. They followed him. They watched her. And one night, she didn't come home. The cafe was empty. The lights were on. Her phone was on the table. And there was a message. "You love her. Now choose."
Min-Jae stood in the middle of the empty cafe. The lights were on. The door was unlocked, but Amara was gone. Her phone lay on the counter, screen glowing. One message. "You love her. Now choose." His chest tightened. His hands trembled. This wasn't supposed to happen. He had protected her, hidden her, shielded her from his world. But love had made him visible. and visibility was a weakness. His men arrived. They knew. Everyone knew. This was a challenge, and challenges demanded blood. Amara woke up in darkness. Her hands were tied. Her head throbbed. She smelled metal, oil, cold concrete. Panic crept into her chest. Then, a voice. "You're important to him." She didn't respond. They wanted fear. She gave them silence. But inside, she was terrified. Not of dying, but of being the reason someone else did. Min-Jae didn't sleep, didn't blink, didn't eat. He sat in a dark room, surrounded by screens, maps, names, locations. This wasn't a rescue. This was a war. His advisors warned him, if you move, you will lose allies. If you attack, you expose yourself. He stood and said, "Then let the world see me." He dismantled them one by one. Warehouses burned, money vanished, secrets were leaked. He destroyed entire networks in 48 hours. Not like a boss, like a man in love. His enemies panicked. They didn't expect him to choose her. They expected him to choose power. They tried to break her, tried to scare her. You don't belong in his world. You're too old. You're replaceable. She looked at them and said, "Love isn't owned by age or power or fear." They slapped her, but she didn't cry. Min-Jae found her location, an abandoned shipyard. No backup, no negotiations. He walked in alone. Guns were raised. He didn't flinch. "I'm here for her." They laughed. He didn't. He moved. Fast, precise, ruthless. By the time it ended, he was covered in blood, and she was in his arms, barely conscious. In the back of the car, she opened her eyes, saw him, alive. She touched his face. "You came." He broke. "I would burn the world for you." She smiled weakly. Then she said, "Distance is not a barrier to love. Danger is not a barrier to love. Your world is not a barrier to love. I love you, and that is what matters." He cried. For the first time since childhood, love had cost him. Allies turned against him. Enemies united. Contracts were broken. Targets were placed. Not on him, on her. Everyone knew she was his heart, and hearts are easy to destroy. His second-in-command said, "She will always be a weakness." Min-Jae closed his eyes, then said, "Then I will erase myself." Min-Jae sat alone in his private room. The walls were lined with power, artifacts, weapons, documents, money. But none of it mattered. Across from him, Amara slept on the bed, bruised but alive. Every breath she took reminded him of what he almost lost, and what he would lose if he stayed. His advisor entered quietly. "They will never stop coming for her." Min-Jae closed his eyes. "I know. She is your weakness." "No," he said. "She is my humanity." Silence. Then he whispered, "I will erase myself." He designed the perfect ending, a violent ambush, a burning car, a body so unrecognizable no one would question it. His death would be public, final, irreversible. Only 3 people would know the truth: his most loyal man, a doctor, and Amara. When he told her, she collapsed. "No," she cried, "you can't disappear." He knelt in front of her. "If I live, you die." Tears streamed down her face. She had already lost so much. Now she was being asked to lose him. The news spread like wildfire. Kang Min-Jae dead in explosion. The city erupted. His enemies celebrated. His allies scattered. And Amara broke. She screamed. She fell. She shattered. She attended his funeral in disguise, stood far away, watched the world mourn a man who was still alive. She whispered, "I love you," and walked away. Amara disappeared. New name, new country, new life. She opened another cafe, this one near the ocean. She painted, she served coffee, she smiled at strangers.
But every night, she cried. She kept a photo hidden of a man the world believed was dead. Love had saved her and destroyed her. Min-Jae became a ghost. No power, no name, no empire. He lived quietly, worked small jobs, learned how to be invisible. For the first time in his life, he was free. But freedom was lonely. He watched couples, families, laughing people, and wondered, was love worth losing everything? His answer never changed. Yes. 2 years later, Amara found a letter slipped under her cafe door. No name, no address, just 6 words. Second sunrise still feels like home. Her hands shook. Only one person knew that name. She ran outside, looked around, and saw him, standing across the street, alive, older, softer, smiling. She crossed the street, slowly, like he might disappear. When she touched him, she cried, hard, uncontrolled. He held her. "I died for you," he whispered. She looked up at him. "And you lived for me." They didn't kiss. They held each other. That was enough. They moved to a small coastal town. No names, no pasts, just mornings, coffee, paint, walks, laughter, love. No guards, no guns, no fear. Only peace. She would paint, he would cook, and sometimes he would watch her and still not believe he was alive. They said she was too old. They said he was too dangerous. They said love like this never lasts. But love doesn't listen. Love doesn't care about age, culture, past, power. Love only asks one question: are you willing to choose me? They did, and it cost them everything, but it gave them something more rare: peace. If this story moved you, if it reminded you that love doesn't follow rules, if it made you believe in second chances, then like this video, subscribe, and comment, "Love is worth it." Because somewhere in the world, someone needs to hear that today.